أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. Respected my elders, brothers, friends, mothers and sisters, those sisters and brothers who have concern for their deen, religion, and they want to act upon the religion, then they come forward and ask the questions regarding the matters of their deen. This week, we also have received some questions regarding the matters of deen. The foremost question of this week is, someone is asking if, he is saying that my question is if you go to another city to visit, I will shorten the prayers to 2 rakats. If I wanted to, could I pray more than 2 rakats, or would this be bid'ah? Now, first of all, we should know when we are allowed to shorten the prayers. What are the conditions? The condition for shortening the prayers is that one has to be on a journey. And the journey has to be according to the fiqh and the school of thought of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. The journey has to be of 48 miles. If someone is going somewhere and he is not staying there for 15 days, then he will shorten the prayers, which means any prayer that has 4 rakats, he will read 2 rakats. Dhuhr prayer, Asr prayer, Isha prayer. Besides these 3 prayers, Maghrib has 3 rakats, he will read 3 rakats. Fajr has 2 rakats, he will read 2 rakats for the Fajr prayer. Now the questioner is asking, if I want to read more than 2, which means if he wants to read Dhuhr, Asr, Isha, instead of 2 rakats, he is on a journey. He has traveled 48 miles or above, and he is saying if he reads more than 2 rakats, so what is the hukum? What's the Islamic ruling here? Now, keep this in your mind. It is wajib to shorten the prayers when you are on a journey of 48 miles or more. It is wajib to read 2 rakats, which means if anyone was on a journey of 48 miles and he read 4 rakats of Zuhr, Asr or Isha, and he never knew the masala, and then within the time he found out that I am in a safar, I had to read 2 rakats but I read 4, so he has to repeat the prayer, because it is wajib to read 2 rakats. Now he missed the wajib. He missed the wajib. Now, if someone forgot and he started reading 4 rakats of Zuhr, he was in a journey, and while he was in the prayer, say for example he was in the 4th rakat and he remembered, I'm in safar now, I should have read 2 rakats, I'm reading the 4th now. So the ulama, they say he should do sajda sahw at the end. he will do sajda. So, and you know the masala, if you are reading the first prayer, if you miss the wajib, what do? To make up, you do the sajda sahw at the end, meaning 2 sajdas at the end. So, it's not a question whether it is bid'at or not bid'at. This is a wajib to read 2 rakats when you are on a journey of 48 miles or more. You have to read 2 rakats. Someone is saying, can you humbly request those who arrive late for salah not to run? It's very disturbing. Our Prophet ﷺ instructed those namazis who come late for the prayer and the Jamaat already had started. Now what we do is we run and try to join the Jamaat so that we don't miss the rakat. Our Prophet ﷺ, he has instructed to those who are latecomers and the Jamaat is in the process, is going on. Rasulullah ﷺ said, don't run. Don't run. Just come calmly, and whatever you get, the rakats you missed it. Let the rakats miss. You just come calmly and join the Jamaat. Whatever you miss, then read them afterwards. But we shouldn't run. This is our Prophet ﷺ, he instructed us not to run in order to catch the Jamaat. We shouldn't run. We should be, coming to the masjid to join the Jamaat calmly, with calmness, not running. So, and also, as this questioner is saying that, it's also disturbing to others as well when you're running and people are already in the Jamaat. So, we shouldn't run. We should come slowly and join the Jamaat. Whatever rakats we've missed, we make up afterwards. When in sujood, when meaning in the sajda, are you supposed to lean your arms on the floor or a bit raised off the ground? The sunnat way of doing sajda is that not to lean your arms on the floor. You have to keep them up, lifted. Many people have been seen having their arms still touching the floor, the ground. This is against the sunnat. And also, when we are standing in the jama'ah, in the congregation, and the sunnat is that we have to keep our elbows away from our sides. When we're reading alone, when we're reading your prayer alone, the sunnah procedure of doing sajda is to keep, number one, not to lean on the ground, on the floor. Number two, keep it away from the sides, your elbows, the sunnah. But when we are in the congregation, we can't do this. We can't keep them away from your sides, your elbows. So in the congregation, you can't keep them away. You have to join them to your sides. But when you're reading alone by yourself, then it is sunnah to keep your arms away, your elbows away from the sides. But whether you are in Jamaat, with Jamaat or alone, at all times you have to keep your elbows, arms away from the floor. You can't, lean on the floor. So this is against the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Someone is asking, when the azan is being announced, can one still read the Quran? Our Prophet ﷺ in a hadith, we are unaware of these glad tidings which were given to us by Prophet ﷺ. In a hadith of Prophet ﷺ, he says, when the azan is being given and we respond to the azan, Rasulullah ﷺ, he says, this person will go to Jannat. Just how easy this and simple amal is. But unfortunately, shaitan and our nafs has kept us away from this amal. We find ourselves, when azan is being given, talking. What a simple amal, and how great it is in the sight of Allah. Very simple, very easy to do, and the glad tidings of the Prophet ﷺ is, this believer will go into paradise. And that waqia, you should know, I've mentioned it many a times, which is really a proof on this. Hakimul Ummat Maulana Rahmatullahi writes, just as a reminder, that in a village, an old woman who was on her bed of death, and all the relatives were around her, and the family members, the woman, illiterate, not educated at all, villagers. And before the death, she was uttering something in Arabic, which the family members were not ulamas, not educated. They couldn't understand what she's trying to say, what she's reading, what she's saying. So they called the Imam Sahib of the masjid quickly to make him hear what our grandmother is reading, what she's saying. And the Imam Sahib who came and stood, and you know what he heard her saying? She was saying in Arabic, Inna hadaini rajulaini yaqulan udkhulil jannah. She was saying in Arabic, now listen, a woman, a villager, non-Arab woman, doesn't know Arabic at all. But before the death, she's speaking Arabic. She's speaking Arabic, and she's saying, these two men are saying to me, enter paradise. The doors of paradise are open for you, enter paradise. And then the Imam Sahib, he told them that this woman is saying these two men. Who are these two men? The angels. Because the dying person, he could see the angels now. All the bodies are removed now. He can see Akhirat now. The people around him, they can't see anything. But the dying man or woman, they can see everything. The angels, the Jannat, Jahannam, everything is right in front of them. So she is saying, these two men are saying to me, enter paradise. When the Imam inquired, what was her amal? They said, she was just an old woman, not very, religious woman, but what amal we saw, whenever the azan was being given, whatever she was doing, she would stop doing it. She put everything aside and she would remain silent and listen to the azan. Listen to azan. And unfortunately, me and you here, sitting in the masjid, azan is being given and we talk. I blame myself, not only you, we are all. Such a mahal in our masajid is that even in masjid, we don't fear Allah and no respect for azan. Azan is being given, we are busy talking. And our Prophet ﷺ here promising that anyone who, replies to the wordings of azan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the Jannat wajib for him. What else we want? What else we want? Everything we are doing, why are we doing all this for? We are doing it so that Allah is pleased with us and we go, He saves us from Jahannam and we go to Jannat. And here is the amal. Here is the amal. And inshallah, if we give a reply to adhan, this is also a sign. This is also a sign that this believer will inshallah die on iman. This is why? Because Prophet ﷺ is promising whosoever will reply to azan, he will go into Jannah. And who will go into Jannah? The believers. The mu'mineen will go into Jannah. This believer, inshallah, he will definitely die on iman. And here is a very little amal. Everybody fears that what's going to happen at the time of death. Am I going to go with iman or without iman? Here is the amal. Our Prophet ﷺ is saying, whosoever will listen to adhan and reply to adhan, he will go into Jannah. And second thing, he said, and then the one who will the one who will do the dua, the dua Prophet, he taught us, Allahumma rabba hazihi da'wati tamma wa salati al-qa'ima, the dua. He said, whosoever will read the dua, on the day of judgment, my shafaat will be wajib for him. And now here again, our Prophet's shafaat will be for whom? For the believers. Which means this believer who used to listen to adhan, and after the completion of adhan, he used to read the dua, he will definitely die on iman also. He will also die on iman. Why? Because Rasulullah is promising, I will do shafaat for him. I will do shafaat for him, and our Prophet's shafaat will be for the believers. This means this believer will die on iman, and on the day of judgment, Rasulullah will do shafaat for him. So what are little amals? And the shaitan has kept us away from these little amals. And we're saying, oh, this is just a little amal. I'm telling you, don't consider these little amals as little. They are great amals in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last question is, can one join Tahiyatul Masjid and Sunnah or the Nafil prayers together? I think the question of what he means, what he's trying to explain, ask is, when someone comes to the masjid, and it is sunnah to read Tahiyatul Masjid, 2 rakahs, Tahiyatul Masjid, providing it's not the makruh time. Now what he's trying to ask is, if someone comes, say if he comes for Zuhr prayer, and before Zuhr there are 4 rakahs, so he's trying to ask, rather than someone reading 2 rakat Tahiyatul Masjid, 2 first, and then reading 4 rakat of Zuhr, he's trying to ask, can he make a niyat in the sunnah of 4 rakat of Zuhr of Tahiyatul Masjid as well? Well, you can't make in one ibadat, you can't make 2 niyats. You can't make 2 niyats in one ibadat. Either you will be reading 4 rakats sunnah of Zuhr, or you will be reading Tahiyatul Masjid. So, with this person, he wants to, with one speed, he wants to hunt two prayers here, he wants to do, with one go, he can do Tahiyatul Masjid and 4 rakat Sunnat as well. But no, you have to read Tahiyatul Masjid separate and then read the 4 rakat of Zuhr namaz. And the last question is, do you always have to say Bismillah at the beginning of a surah every time? Well, if you're reading the Quran, when you reach a new surah, you have to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You have to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But in namaz, in the prayer, it is sunnah to read Bismillah before Surah Fatiha, not before the surah. So keep this in your mind. It is sunnah in namaz, in the prayer, that to read Bismillah before Surah Al-Fatiha is sunnah. But when you start Surah, after Surah Fatiha, you don't read Bismillah. But besides, outside the prayer, when you read the Quran, when you reach a Surah, then you have to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this majlis and make it means of our forgiveness. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.